BTC has broken below the big 80K level again. Ethereum is also down massively. So let's have a look at the markets. I'm going to give you my brand new perspective. I've actually been away on vacation for 2 weeks and now I had an in-depth analysis on the markets and I want to give you my perspective, what I am looking at next. And also in this video, I will share something that is going to be very, very helpful for each and every one of you if you're trading massive volatility like this. So I definitely recommend you to stick till the end because that's where I will reveal something which I am monitoring very closely these days, even when trading crypto. So let's get into this video. And here on BTC, what we can see, very simple, is that we made a new local low. So in terms of the market structure, it's pretty simple and easy to identify that we are, even on the higher time frames, this is the daily time frame, we are trading in a downtrend. So just as a reference, once again, we can see price made a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and another lower low. So with that in mind, does it make sense to be very aggressive on long trades? In my opinion, absolutely not. Because when we are trading against the trend, we should be taking profits. Now, that does not mean that we can take any long trades in between if we have a good level of support. That just means we should lock them, take profits quick, and always keep risk management in mind, especially if we're going against the trend. So there was one thing that I discovered, and this in my opinion is going to be very telling and something I am going to monitor very closely over the next couple of days, maybe even weeks. And this is a very simple trend line. And it's actually funny, but this morning Igor done a daily update for the members, and he was talking about how the more experience you have, the more you focus on the simplicity of things. And what I want to look at here is a very simple trend line. It doesn't take much to draw the trend line like this. But what we can clearly see here is if we connect these two highs, that this trend line is super well respected, and we can clearly see, although BTC attempted to break above, it couldn't even close a single daily candle above this trend line. So we can see first touch, second touch, third, fourth, fifth, sixth touch, and we can still see no close above, no reclaim. So this one is going to be very, very interesting for me to keep an eye on this, because the moment we start to break above this trend line, it's not necessarily that I'm saying I would trade a breakout, but there's two scenarios we can be aware of here. And this is looking at simple plain price action, not looking at high time frame levels, not looking at NPOCs, and rather only this trend line. So there's two scenarios. Scenario number one is going to be we get the daily close above, potentially a retest, and we see a nice run to the upside. This is scenario number one, but something we always have to be aware of when we look at these trend lines, or even patterns like triangles and this stuff, we can always get a fake out. This means we get the move above, but then we lose the trend line again, retest, and see another low to be made. So those are the two scenarios I'm keeping an eye on. I, for myself, would consider a daily close above this trend line as a sign of strength. It would be something that I'm keeping an eye on in terms of, am I still looking for short trades, or are we maybe changing the context here a little bit? If we see the fake out or failed auction scenario that I mentioned, then I would even be open to short that. But unless I get at least a test of this trend line, I don't like shorting lows. I don't like longing because we haven't seen a major sign of strength yet. And thus I'm going to stay a little bit more patient. And one thing I wanted to mention, and that is if you watched my last video about altcoins and the correlation, so as we know, the altcoins are highly correlated to BTC, there's one thing we have to keep in mind when we are trading BTC. This is obviously the biggest altcoin this is the biggest cryptocurrency in the space. So where should we look for correlations when we are trading BTC? And in my opinion, it is very critical, especially in these days where we have a lot going on geopolitically, to have a look at the bigger market, which is the ES. Okay, so this is the S&P 500. You don't need to be trading the ES, but it does make sense to have a look at the bigger picture, see what the stock market is doing. Are we hitting support? Are we still in a downtrend? Because we had a massive drop on the ES as well as the NQ, obviously. But it does make sense to be aware of these bigger markets, because If we have a massive downtrend like on the stock market, I would be a little bit more careful longing altcoins and also BTC. That is simply because if the market is bleeding, ES is moving to the downside, there's a very good probability that BTC is following along. So I would definitely keep an eye on this, and there's one thing I would keep in mind, and that is that we are hitting major important support on ES and NQ. This is very early to look at this because this is a weekly time frame. That was last week. We've actually seen a 9% decrease in price. That's pretty massive on the stock market. So I'm not saying the bottom is in, but at least I would keep an eye on what's going to happen here. If we find some good support on ES, maybe we see the context shifting on BTC as well. So if there's no bigger cryptocurrency to look at, I'm always looking at the stock market for the next correlation. So with that being said, let's also have a look at some levels here on BTC. I want to look at high time frame levels as well as NPOCs. And I remember before I went on vacation, I've done a stream and I said, I am not interested in trading BTC unless we at least take out or at least hit the 70,000 zone. And with that, I meant the 70,000, so in between 80 and 70,000. So that has happened actually today, so that is very nice to see. I can see we hit a weekly naked point of control. This was sitting at 76,050. This definitely is a level of support, so I do want to check the lower time frames here to see if there is a sign of strength. Not really, I don't like this price action yet here, because we can simply see even on the lower time frames, all we do is still from lower lows, lower high, lower low. This can still end in a lower high. So for me, when I'm looking at swing trading perspective on BTC, I am not taking a swing trade here yet, and rather I wait for a bigger sign of strength, which would be a market structure change. And more importantly, which I already covered, the trend line up here. So this is definitely going to be a big level to see if we can claim that. Because the moment we do, I could think to myself that this is the first sign of strength that we can see here. And from my perspective, if we claim this trend line, maybe even do a nice retest, I would really like to see this $96,000 being tested still. I've been talking about this a lot, but yeah, that's something that's still on my radar. Not saying that we're going to shoot up there straight away. There's going to be the big 90,000s lining up with a weekly NPOC as well. But yeah, overall, I would really like to see 96,000 being tested at least. So, but with that being said, this obviously has not happened yet. So unless we do that, I have to prepare myself for lower levels still. So I'm going to do that here. And for me, it's always best to check a previous range in terms of the volume. So I'm going to pull a fixed range here to see where the previous range value area high and point of control zone is sitting at. Because in my opinion, this will be the next big support on BTC. And this is sitting actually exact at the 70,000 level. So whenever I see that, this is also a golden nugget that you want to take notes of maybe. If we have a level like a 70,000 level, which is pretty clean here on this previous range value area high, my perspective is always, I want to see 70,000 taken. I want to see a dip below, not hold 70K exactly. This is too unlikely to happen. We can think about many people who want to get into BTC and think to themselves that 70,000 is a good level to buy. They're definitely going to buy at 70,000, place limit orders. I'm always thinking, it's best to grab that liquidity once more, dip below 70,000 and then get the sign of strength, as opposed to trading 70,000 exactly. That's just what I do with these rounded numbers. I don't like them too much. So what I prefer actually is to see these two dailies being hit here at around 67,000. And in my opinion, if I look at this NPOC is pretty crucial. So we should today or the coming week have a close eye on the ES, see what ES is doing if we get a sign of strength here. Because losing this weekly NPOC, in my opinion, would definitely open the doors for a move into $76,000 next. And those are the levels I'm looking at on BTC. Losing that would be super bearish. So I'm taking it level to level. That's going to be my next level of interest to the downside, levels of interest to the upside. What I'm looking at here as a sign of strength, I already covered. So with that, I would honestly say I'm going to keep it pretty easy and straightforward here on BTC, and yeah, just give this market a little bit of time to settle, show a sign of strength, show its hand, because something we always want to keep in mind is that in trading, sometimes it's better to be a little bit late than too early, because that way we can prevent ourselves from taking unnecessary losses. And in my opinion, just for my risk appetite, there's not enough signs of strength here to be longing this market at the moment. I also want to have a look at Ethereum. So first of all, I'm going to hide these levels and see what's happening here. I mean, on Ethereum, we are still super bearish, right? So there's no one that can deny that. We are in a very clean downtrend here. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and so on and so forth. We have actually, did we hit it? Yeah, we hit $1,400 on Ethereum. So to me, it almost looks like we are moving down in these 1,000 steps. So it was a big level to take out 3,000. Then we were looking at 2,000, which was taken. Is $1,000 next? Maybe let me know in the comments if you think that we can take out $1,000 on Ethereum. I, for myself, would be super happy to see that. I wouldn't get bearish. I mean, if we get these massive drops to the downside, all I am thinking about is the opportunities that are coming up next. So I would be very happy to even take out 1,000 on Ethereum. But what do you think? Is that likely? Let me know. And my level obviously would be this massive level of liquidity here at 877, because once again, what we can see here, $1,000, I'm going to mark this out for you here real quick. So I'm going to make it 1,000 exact, and we can see, yeah, 1,000 is a good psychological level. Many people probably think buying Ethereum at 1,000 is amazing. But then I would think to myself, what's the level down here? There's nothing much, right? So if we get down to 1,000, why not take out the overall low right here and have a better level to trade off of, okay? So this is my perspective on Ethereum. I'm actually going to place an alert here for Ethereum at 1,000 to be aware of if we get down there. And then I need to check what's happening down here. I can already say not interested in any long trades at the moment because we are in that very clean downtrend. But I do want to check this previous range of value here on Ethereum as well, because I can see we got the acceptance inside, got the move into the point of control, and the value area low, which would be the full value rotation, is sitting at 1,281. Let's see if there's anything else. This weekly is hit, daily is hit, there's a monthly below. No, I don't really like this. When I look at this right here, I must honestly say on Ethereum, I am still bearish. I do think we can get lower on Ethereum. And my next level in terms of support to the downside would honestly be this level down here. But if we don't get that, obviously, for me, it is very easy what I'm going to do. The moment I see market structure changes on Ethereum, I'm going to flip my bias. I'm not going to marry my bias. This is just what trading is all about. So if we see a sign of strength, we have to adapt, we have to adjust, and we can look for long trades. But in this massive downtrend here on Ethereum, absolutely no point for me to be looking for long trades. So all I would do is just look for some momentum trades to the downside. The biggest resistance on Ethereum is all the way up at 3,000. So this is, yeah, very far away. I don't have to look at this too much as of now. And in terms of a little bit more local resistance, I would be keeping an eye on the $2,000 retest. I'm going to clean up my charts here a little bit because this is nothing that I would like to trade off myself. But here I can see at around this 2,000, which obviously is also a psychological level in terms of resistance, I can see a weekly level lining up, a weekly NPOC lining up. This most recent downtrend anchored view up is lining up here. So in my opinion, this is going to be worth an alert to be aware of 2,000. So to keep it simple on Ethereum, there is two levels of interest, one to the upside at around 2,000 and to the downside is actually below 1000. So this is going to give us a rather large range to look at. But yeah, these days with these major drops, I am most interested in the bigger levels, not trying to take too many trades in between. I'm a little bit more conservative, protecting capital, and then if the good opportunities are here, I am ready to participate in the markets. So yeah, once again, a reminder to check the ES these days to see what's happening here. We can see based off this major support, we are already forming a nice bounce. So this is something to be aware of and see how that translates over to BTC. So I'm going to keep it easy, short, and concise as this. So if anything changes, I will update in the Discord, obviously. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one, and bye bye.